Hi everyone, my name is Allie, and today I'm going to be reading you a few chapters from Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Veterans. Chapter 5, A Very Interesting Family. I wash up quickly and get rid of both the lingering blood and the gym sock smell from basketball, and like Dad said, I pick out something nice to wear. Not too nice, in case the monster calling himself Mr. Charles attacks us or something and I have to make a run for it. But clean jeans, my favorite Frank Wallen shirt, and a pair of Nike N7 sneakers. I'm leaving my bedroom, pulling the door closed, when I notice something odd. Mr. Charles is standing in our living room by himself. No Dad or Mac and no bodyguards. He's in front of the mantel where we keep some family photos. He picks up the largest, peering at it closely before setting the frame down and examining the next. I know which picture it is from here. It's the one of my whole family, including my mom. Mr. Charles flips the frame over and turns the clasp that holds the photo inside. He starts to slide out the paper. Wait, he's stealing it? He shouldn't even be touching it. It's special and he needs to keep his monster paws off. What are you doing? I snap. He looks up, sunglasses still on, and calmly slides the photo back into the frame and sets it down. Hello, Nitzoni. His blonde hair looks almost silver in the late afternoon light, coming in from the windows, and he smiles self-assuredly, showing a mouthful of perfect white teeth. He pulls something from his pocket and palms it, so I can't tell what it is. Did you know your name means beauty in Navajo? He continues. Well, of course you did, he chuckles. It's your name. Where's my dad? You have a very interesting family, he says, gesturing back to the photos and ignoring my questions. Is that your mother? I glare at him. No way I'm telling him anything. I never met her, of course, but she is known to my... He pauses, as if searching for a word. Associates. Monsters? I blurt out. His face freezes for a moment, but then he grins. I see you and I don't have to play games. That's good. I like that we can be honest with each other. All traces of his hokey cowboy accent are gone. I knew it. All my feelings were right. Mr. Charles is a monster, but on the heels of my triumph comes dread. Why is a monster so interested in my family, and how would he and his so-called associates know about my mom? As long as we're being honest here, Mr. Charles says, let me tell you why I'm here. To explain that, I'll have to start with your mother. Did you know her side of the family goes way back in Navajo history? All the way back to the goddess Changing Woman? I know about Changing Woman, but we call her a holy person, not a goddess. I say, lifting my chin and trying to sound brave. I mean, as long as we're being honest. My Shimasani, that's what I call my grandmother on my mother's side, taught me the Changing Woman created the clan system of the Navajo people. The system tells us who we're related to, and it's one of the first things Mac and I had to learn. Since I carry 3 of the original clans in my lineage, being descended from Changing Woman isn't as strange as it might sound. Mr. Charles' greasy grin gets bigger, if that's even possible. His bright teeth look sharp behind his lips. Such a smart girl, he says, in a creepy fake compliment voice. Then I assume you know that your mother's ancestry can be traced directly to one of the Changing Woman's sons. I don't remember my Shimasani ever telling me anything about the Changing Woman's son. And how does this white dude from some oil and gas company know anything about my Navajo stories anyway? A chill crawls down my spine. Perhaps I don't have to explain why I'm here, Mr. Charles goes on. Perhaps you already know. He raises an expectant eyebrow. You're to take us to the pizza palace? I blurt out, fear making me say something ridiculous. Real smooth, Nitzoni. He laughs, twirls whatever he has in his hands. It's a long black object that glints in the afternoon light, but I still can't get a good look at it. You can probably guess that I'm a very powerful man. I run a corporation worth billions of dollars. On my private estate, I have dozens of people at my beck and call. I'm not used to being thwarted, and yet it was recently brought to my attention that there's a girl, the daughter of our former enemy, who could impede my plans for the future. He steps closer. My back is up against my bedroom door. I'm not trying to be brave anymore. In fact, I'm considering screaming. Through the living room window, I can see my dad outside, chatting with those bodyguards. Is he wondering why I haven't come out yet? What his boss is doing? Unless Mr. Charles used some power to make Dad forget all about me. Not that he needs that much help in that department. Well, imagine how upset this news made me, he says. I've worked so hard for all that I have. He puts his sunglasses on top of his head, and I see his eyes are blood red. He stares at me, and my whole body freezes up. His gaze is powerful, dangerous. I felt it before at my basketball game, and I feel it again now. With the hope that I could prove my associates wrong, I had come to see for myself. It was easy enough to set up a meeting with your father, and when you recognize my true identity at the basketball game, I shake my head and start to say something, but he cuts me off. Oh, don't bother denying it. We're being honest here, remember? I found that it was true. You are your mother's daughter. And I'm sorry, Nitsoni, but I can't afford to have one girl, one tiny speck of a girl, ruin everything. But I can't ruin anything, I protest. My heart is beating a mile a minute, and I just want out of here. I see stuff sometimes, I admit it, but that's all. Stuff, he chuckles, waving my words away. It's okay, Nitsoni, you can say it. You can detect monsters. But interestingly enough, your brother cannot. In fact, I thought he might take after your father instead of your mother and be perfectly mundane. But then Marcus shook my hand, and I felt his unrealized potential. He's special, too. I knew it was a bad idea to shake his hand. A burst of anger overrides my fear, and I shout, "You better not touch my brother." So fierce, what a good sister you are. But don't worry about Marcus, I want him alive. His power is different from yours, and once it manifests, he will come quite in handy for my business needs. You, however, he shakes his head and sadly. It does pain me to hurt youngsters, it really does, but best to do it now before you grow up and truly become a problem. I am so very sorry, Nitsoni, but I'm afraid. He stops twirling the object in his hand and points it at me. It's long and flat and made of black stone, and it looks sharp at one end. My heart thuds in my chest when I realize he's holding an obsidian knife. I need you dead. Chapter 6. No spaghettini macaravioli for you. I don't even think before I run full tilt at Mr. Charles. His startled eyes are the last thing I see before I kick that knife right out of his hand. It goes skittering across the tile floor. Whoa, where did that move come from? But I'm not done. I headbutt Mr. Charles in the stomach. He goes woof and stumbles backwards. And for good measure, I execute a perfect elbow strike to the cheek, just like I learned in the self-defense class Coach taught in PE last year. I'd never been able to do it before, and this time it's a direct hit. And it's fast. I'm fast. Mr. Charles definitely makes an ugh sound. Nitsoni, my dad yells from the open front door, horrified. I pause in my vicious monster fighting onslaught to look over. It's not just Dad, but also Mac and the two bodyguards pushing through the entryway. They're all staring at me, mouths open, eyes big as fry breads. Well, I can't see the bodyguards' eyes behind their reflective sunglasses, but something tells me they're huge. What on earth? My dad rushes forward to help Mr. Charles. The man is bent over, one hand holding his stomach and the other rubbing his cheek. I am so sorry, Dad murmurs as he helps Mr. Charles stand up straight. I have no idea what is wrong with her. Wrong with me? He had a knife, I exclaim. I was protecting myself. My dad looks around. I see no knife. I kicked it away, I say. It's on the floor over there. I gesture vaguely in its direction. Mr. Rock bends over and picks something up. This? He asks, holding up a sharp, deadly, mechanical pencil. It was a knife, I insist. Mr. Rock presses the fraction of lead sticking out of the top of the pencil, and it breaks off with an audible snap, showing how thin and fragile it is. Mac makes a low whistle and mouths, "Way to play it cool, Z." But I take a step toward Mr. Rock, ready to search his pockets. Of course. He switched the knife out for the pencil. Of course he's hiding it. He works with Mr. Charles, doesn't he? Not so fast, Dad says, holding out an arm to stop me in my tracks. He grabs my wrist like a vice. The low rumble in his voice tells me I'm in big trouble. The only thing worse than the rumble is when he calls me by my full name. Don't you think you've caused enough trouble, Nitsoni Marie Begay? Well, Mac mouths, you are so grounded. I narrow my eyes. Oh no, I am not getting blamed for this one. Dad, he had a knife, honest. He was threatening to kill me. Why else was he in our house? I came in to use the little boy's room, Mr. Charles says with an embarrassed aw shucks chuckle. Oh, please. Surely Dad's not falling for that. I mean, do monsters even pee? Then why were you studying our family photos? I ask with a growl. I was admiring them. You have such a lovely family. Ha! More lies. Everyone knows Mac is funny looking. I ask, then why did you need a pencil? He crinkled his brow, puzzled. You asked me for an autograph. Don't you remember? He holds up a flip-top notepad. Mr. Rock pumps the eraser to load fresh lead and hands the pencil to Mr. Charles, who signs a piece of paper with a flourish. He tears it out and holds it out to me. Thanks, I mutter, taking the paper automatically. I look down at it and see that he has very nice handwriting. It seems odd for a monster. Wait, monsters give autographs? Double wait, I never asked him for his autograph. He's totally lying. Dad simmers. Mac mouths, loser. Dad, I start to protest, but he's not listening. To your room, he says quietly, but firmly pushing me down the hall. I swear he had a knife. One last protest. We're at my bedroom door, and he marches me across the threshold, plants me by the bed, and turns to me. I've never seen him so mad. His face is bright red, his eyes are wet like he's about to cry, and the veins in his neck are pulsing with parental rage. I have never been so embarrassed in my entire life, he hisses through gritted teeth. How could you attack my potential new boss, who I'm trying to impress, and then make up some wild story about a knife? But no, he holds up a hand. You're done talking, Nitsoni. In fact, you're done. Period. You're staying here while the rest of us go to Pasta Palace and have a nice, violence-free dinner. You are not to leave this room, and I'm taking your phone too, so you can spend time thinking about what you've done. Do you hear me? He raises a shaky hand to his face and pushes his short hair back. And I am going to apologize profusely and try to save my job. I know you don't want us to move away, but you've gone too far. Much, much too far. I hate to say it, but I am ashamed of you. And just like that, all the fight goes out of me. I feel like a worm. Worse, the end of a worm. Worm butt. That's me. I feel my stomach sink and tears rush to my eyes. My father gives me one last look, and a look of pure shame, before he closes my bedroom door right in my face. I stand there for a minute, staring back at the back of the door. I can hear Dad making more apologies to Mr. Charles, and that slimeball laughing it off and asking if I caused trouble in school. Unfortunately, I also hear Mac helpfully volunteering that I once had to attend a Saturday anger management class at my old school for punching a Laura Huffstratter in the nose. But Mac neglects to mention that a Laura Huffstratter, a white girl, said my mom left us because I was a dirty Indian, and then she made war-whooping noises like something out of a bad Western. So as far as I'm concerned, Laura totally had it coming. I would do it again in a heartbeat, even if it meant another Saturday anger management class. Mac has totally bought into Mr. Charles's act. My little brother has no idea that we're both in danger. I can't warn him without my phone. More voices and footsteps, and they're all leaving. I hear the click of the front door as it closes. I rush to my window to watch everyone pile into the big black Escalade and drive away. Everyone except Ms. Bird, who turns and heads back to the house. I open my door a crack to see her plop down on the living room couch, pick a magazine off the coffee table. Looks like she's getting left behind to make sure I don't escape. And just like that, my day of average humiliation becomes a day of spectacular humiliation. No family, no phone, and everyone believes the monster's word over mine. I flop on my bed, and maybe just a little, because nobody hears to see it, I cry.